Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. Hello everybody, welcome to our Team Tuesday this week with Ziryan Salayi. Hey Ziryan, welcome back.
Thank you, it's good to be back.
Absolutely. So we talk about teams and how sometimes they become their own worst enemies today. It is Team Tuesday here on podcast. But before we dive into that, we do want to know, what's the book that most inspired you as a Scrum Master?
This is the most difficult question because I actually don't read books. I'm not a big book lover. I love to get a summary or or audio cast. But there is one book, or actually two books I've read. It's the Pocket Guide Scrum of Gunther Verheyen. That's a must, of course. And the other one is actually something which doesn't have anything to do with Agile. And there's this Dutch book. It's called, Yeah, but What If Everything Works Out? And that was a really nice book on getting a mindset on progress instead of but this. Just think about positively. What if things go right? So
how did that help you in your career as a Scrum Master? This of course the book itself and the tools and the methods the mental models you got from the book. Can you give us an example?
Yeah. So based on the book, but what if everything works? I try to, in the sprint retrospective, I try to support the team in, can we think about the positive things that we have done in our previous sprint? Because usually in the sprint retrospective, you like to think, so what can we do better? But I often facilitate the sprint retrospective in a way that, can we look at the positive things that we have done and can we increase them even more? So that's just a little different mindset than what I was usually used to. Is what went bad? Okay, let's fix the bad ones. But why not get better at the things we already do good?
Absolutely. And I think that's really a transformational perspective on the work that we do. We have an episode with Yves, Hanoulle and Woody Zuill where we talk about turning up the good. That's what Woody calls it. And we explore that perspective and how it can change the way we relate to the teams and also how the teams relate to their work, right? Mm-hmm. I often say that if all you see is problems, then you end up working on the things that don't work instead of focusing on the things that work. And obviously you find more problems because there are always more problems to be solved. So I really like that. And at least in my experience, it's also a very high energy approach to improvement, right? Like instead of, so this is not wrong, and then we fight about the solution or whatever, we try to say, hey, what are we already happy about and how can we make it even better? And I think that has a positive energy input into the team as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's important for us as Scrum Masters to also think about the positive things, getting the mood up. And eventually it's about, improving as a team, getting better every day.
Absolutely. So talking about teams that don't improve, today is Team Tuesday, and we talk about teams that exactly go into the opposite spiral, this spiral of self-destruction. And here, our job as Scrum Masters is to figure out what are the early signs that point to a potential disaster coming up. And we look at behaviors, attitudes, specific events that happen. And we want you to walk us through that story, like how that team evolved over time and what were these little patterns or behaviors that ultimately led to trouble.
Yeah. There was this team I was supporting, and there was a lot of management involvement. So they had low to zero decisiveness within the team. And how I noticed that is that with every sprint retrospective, of course, we think about how to improve things. And there was always this, but I'm not sure if we are allowed to. So those were signs that I think, why not actually? And so I found out that this, that the manager was so much involved. The manager was having a lot of one-on-ones with the team members as well. So the team members, they lost creativity. They were not thinking about a sprint goal, about doing things. They were only focusing on, we just sit behind our desk and get our stuff done, and that's it. So that was something that I thought, okay, this is not good about self-management, right?
So did you get the sense that this one-on-ones the manager was having with the team, were they like directive? Like, were they getting instructions or tasks from the team manager? Was that what was going on?
Yeah. And it was all with the good intent, because it was the manager, right? So they were discussing progress or whatever, and the manager was coming up with solutions. And of course, if a manager comes with the solutions, what do people do? They tend to listen to them. So all creativity gets lost. So what I did over there, and of course, as a Scrum Master, it's our job to see, okay, how can we break that cadence, right? How can we break down that spiral and get it moving up? So what I did there is I started to change my behavior. Like, I started to add like a second monitor at my desk. And they were like, hey, Ziryan, how come you have two monitors and we only have one? Manager was not allowed to. Yeah, but I think I just found one, so I got it. Do you want that as well? Yeah, can you make it happen? Yeah, sure, we can do it. And then we were like, the next time I sat down next to a developer. It's like, Ziryan, what are you doing? Yeah, I know a little development, so I just want to see and learn how you do stuff. Yeah, but are we allowed? Because we're not allowed to pair program. Yeah, let's try. And then so the behavior I showed, they copied it as well. And then we ended up doing mob programming. Can you imagine? And they were like, yeah, Ziryan, but I'm not sure if we can do it, because there are a lot of other teams here as well. And we will make too much noise. Like, yeah, let me take care of it. So I arranged a TV on a desk, and I made sure that we chose a time where all other teams were not there. And then we were more programming. And that was also one of the things that slowly changed their minds, and they became really, really creative. And they became so creative that at one point at a sprint review, they actually showed how much the team had cost in that sprint. And that was something that was not to be discussed. You don't talk about how much a team costs. Maybe you talk about benefit, but not how much it costs. So they were getting creative. And I think that's something that breaking that pattern, like showing the behavior and sometimes showing courage to do stuff.
Yeah, and this reminds me of the most powerful tool we have in our toolbox as Scrum Masters, which is doing it ourselves, showing the example. Instead of preaching about it, which sometimes we need to do, instead of motivating, convincing, helping others decide to do something differently, very often the best way to act is exactly what you did, right? Like, we do it ourselves differently. We'll just pick up another monitor. Oh, but how come you get a second monitor? I don't have one. Well, would you like one?
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's for us, it might be, I mean, as Scrum Masters, when we are like in the buzz of the day-to-day work, it might be even hard for us to imagine, like, how could I model a behavior? Like, what would I do, right? And I think it's really cool, this story that you just told us, because it really talks about very simple things, right? Like, they grew up to be big things, but they started with a small thing. I'll just pick up a monitor, put it here. I know they want one. I'll show it. I can do it. And then maybe they'll have the courage to do it themselves, right? And I think that really reminds me of that lesson that we keep on learning over and over again. And I think it's great to emphasize that the most powerful tool we have is modeling behavior, showing others how, successful teams behave by doing it ourselves.
Yeah. And this also links back to the book I was talking about in the beginning, like, hey, yes, but what if it works out? What if it is okay? What if we do get a second monitor? But that's also the mindset. And like you said, showing behavior, that's one of the most powerful tool in our toolbox.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that story, Ziryan. Tuesday is Team Day here on the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. But tomorrow we talk about something that goes beyond the work we do with the teams. We will talk about how to lead change and what our guests have learned from leading and participating in change programs during their career. See you tomorrow. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.